Waves of sightings were often followed by waves of hoaxes. Pranksters were busy airbrushing negatives and doing photographic cut-and-paste jobs. They even tossed saucepans in front of the camera and dangled hubcaps in the air. Obviously, they were just out to get publicity. George Adamski claimed direct contact with blonde-haired aliens who took him to the moon and Venus, where, he said, he took these photographs. Then came the Barker incident at a small airfield in West Virginia, where this film footage was shot. This was termed the Lost Creek Flying Saucer. Many people who saw this film believed that the hanging thing you see was in fact a UFO. We'll leave it to you. The 60s and 70s brought various groups of people who actually built saucer-shaped vehicles and attempted to fly them. And about 10 years ago, there began what we believe to be the most elaborate hoax of all. A Swiss farmer, Billy Meyer, claimed to have had direct contact with an extraterrestrial group from the Pleiades star system. Meyer produced photographs of what he called beam ships. And the occupants of these beam ships, interestingly, one of the aliens looked very much like a Swiss fashion model, and the so-called beam ship was found in his barn. Now, Billy Meyer's beam ships may have been obvious hoax, but thousands of UFO sightings from all over the world are not so easily explained away. Joining me now from the suburbs of New York City are Robert Pozzuoli, a computer systems executive, and his wife, Lori. I'm glad you could be with us tonight.
Thank you, and nice to be here.
Tell us what happened to you 4 years ago.
Local residents around our town of Brewster, New York, reported seeing UFOs. More than 9,000 reports came in and were always the same. Noiseless, hovering, boomerang-shaped objects approximately 150 feet from wingtip to wingtip. When we spotted it, I had my video camera and we quickly started shooting the footage you'll see.
I think your comments on the tape are especially interesting. Let's look at it now.
Oh, good God.
What are you doing?
I don't know.
About playing.
I'm going to tell you something, honey. I don't know what the hell it is.
Tell me, what kind of effect this sighting has had on your life?
Wow, we've become very popular.
Well, that's certainly not bad, is it?
No.
Oh, Bob and Lori Pozzuoli, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Now, from the piney woods of East Texas on December 23rd, 1980, comes a bizarre close encounter of the second kind experienced by our next guests, Betty Cash and Vicki Landrum. Betty, Vicki, thank you for making the trip here tonight. Welcome to our show. Tell me, what happened to you that night?
It was a very cold night. Vicki and I and her grandson were coming back from playing bingo. Suddenly, little Kobe noticed a bright light in the sky above the pine trees. A tremendous amount of heat was coming from this diamond-shaped thing. Fire was coming out of the bottom of it. When it moved, it made a swishing sound, and there was a beeping the entire time, a deafening beeping that I still hear in my mind at night.
All three of us got out of the car, and Toby and I got right back in.
I just stood there, terrified, for about 10 minutes. The object lit up the surrounding pine woods like it was daylight, and I was burning, my skin was burning.
Well, you must have been terrified. How long did the craft hover over you?
Oh, about 20 minutes. Fire was coming out of the bottom like a blowtorch. It lifted up and then flew over the trees.
That was when we saw the helicopters come out.
The helicopters?
Colby County, 23 of them.
And I understand, in fact, you later identified them as CH-47 Chinook military helicopters.
Yes, it seems as if they were trying to escort the craft somewhere. It looked like they were about to collide. The roar sounded like a tornado. When we got home, I washed Kobe off and put him to bed. When the water touched his skin, he cried out like he had been burned, as if he had been in the sun too long.
And I was too sick to work the next day. My eyes swelled closed and welts appeared on my face and head. I thought I was going to die. Vicki came and took me to the emergency room of the hospital. They treated me like a burn patient. Over the next few days, I kept losing big patches of skin on my face, and about half my hair fell out. They kept me in the hospital over a month with no improvement.
It seems to me it takes remarkable inner strength to survive an ordeal like that. How are you doing now?
I have cancer. I was operated on in March 1983, and the doctors could not say if they got it all. Now, some days I'm okay, other days are terrible.
Has the government ever expressed a willingness to take responsibility for this thing?
No, and I'm mad as hell, and disappointed with the government of our United States.
Well, I don't blame you, Miss Cash. And Ms. Landrum, thank you for joining us in Washington. I think you two are extraordinarily courageous ladies.
Thank
Now,
you.
we'd like you to, thank you. We'd like you to see this exclusive videotape of a man we know only as Falcon. We asked him what the truth was concerning your case.
The Cash Landrum incident, the craft that was observed was a alien craft piloted by military aircraft pilots. Although they had been trained and were somewhat familiar with the craft, they found that the aircraft did not respond to certain controls. They radioed that they thought the craft was going to crash. Standard procedures for the military in a situation where an aircraft was going to crash, the military would send up search and rescue helicopters. The helicopters were following the craft. The craft experienced severe problems. It was thought that the craft was going to crash. However, this craft did not crash.
Here are two hypotheses. One, the UFO Betty Cash and Vicki Landrum saw was actually an aircraft developed by the United States government. Another possibility suggested by Falcon is that it was a craft given our government by extraterrestrials.
Stand by for first-hand reports of abduction, close encounters of the fourth kind. Stay with UFO Cover-Up Live.
You can depend on it.
Come back to UFO Cover-Up Live.
Rosemary Osnato, a commercial graphic artist, lives in New York City's East Village. Rosemary suffered a broken kneecap last year and is recuperating from the injury. Al Hassim lives in the Bronx with his wife and 11-year-old daughter and works the 4 p.m. to midnight shift for the telephone company in Manhattan. In his off hours, Al likes to play guitar and write songs. Lisa Salviano of Lake Hiawatha, New Jersey, is 24, married, and pregnant with her first child. She works as a secretary in Morristown, New Jersey. These three ordinary individuals, unrelated to one another, share one extraordinary experience. With the guidance of a psychiatrist, Dr. Rima Lebo, they have been able to relive deeply buried memories that will astonish you. Under hypnosis, the subjects are put into a relaxed state in which they can recall these disturbing memories. And once regressed, they relive the experience in real time, often very emotionally, moment by moment. They re-experience what they went through the first time, though it may have taken place months or even years earlier. Now, please watch as we replay portions of their hypnosis session now.
I could see the lights in the city, and there was this light coming over my head. Very bright, very intense light, very sharp, heavy. It was coming straight down. Kept looking to see what was on the roof. I'm trying to see what it is. I can't see what it is.
What's preventing you from seeing it?
Because it's so bright, I can't look through the brightness to see what it is.
I was woken up. I was sleeping. I woke up. There's something outside my window. They wanted me to go out. And I didn't know how I would get out there because the window was there. But when I thought that, all of a sudden I started to move up and out. And I went through the window. And I thought that was so neat. Can you feel your feet on the floor and walking in a regular way?
No. It doesn't seem like I walk because it seems like I don't see anything like when you walk, you can see like things going up and down when you walk. This is smooth.
When you get to the end of this walk, where are you?
Some kind of control room or something.
Mm-hmm. What makes it look like some kind of control room?
Because of this, it's like a big console in there.
I think there was a table in the room. Table in the room. Like an eating table?
Mm-mm.
Oh, what kind of table?
Like a doctor's office. Like they make me lie on it.
Lie down on the table? You're lying on your tummy?
At my back.
On your back. When you're lying there, are you alone?
No, they're all over.
They're all over. Does anybody touch you?
I think they do, yeah.
Where do they touch you?
I think like my arms and legs.
Are you alone?
No, they're all over.
How many of them are there around the table?
At least 4 or 5.
Uh-huh. And are they all doing something, or are they all watching?
No, they're watching too.
Uh-huh. How many of them are actually doing something?
1.
They're so ugly.
What makes them so ugly?
They look mean.
What makes them look mean?
They don't smile.
They don't smile.
God, he's ugly. That is an ugly thing. Very ugly. His head looks so pathetic. His heads, they just don't look right. Their heads don't look right. They look distorted and very sickly.
Mm-hmm.
It's, the skull looks pointed in the front and larger in the back.
He looks like a big insect.
What makes him look like a big insect?
The shape of his head.
Tell me about the shape of his head.
Almost like a football.
Their eyes are very black, and slanted, and sort of wrinkled around the edges, around the eyes, are sort of like lizard eyes in a way. Big black eyes.
Big black eyes. Did they have pupils?
Oh.
Come. I will show you wonders you have never seen before.
UFO Cover-Up continues live from Washington, D.C. with our host, Mike Farrell.
One of the most intriguing UFO stories occurred in July of 1947 in New Mexico. With me now are Bill Moore, co-author of the Roswell Incident, and nuclear physicist Stanton T. Friedman. Both of these gentlemen have done extensive research on this case. Thanks for joining us. Bill, how many people were involved in the New Mexico incident?
We have personal testimonies from about 100 people. One of the most important of these people was Bill Brazel. Brazel's father managed the land where the incident took place. Apparently, a UFO had been caught in a thunder and lightning storm while in the area. The next day, Brazel's father went out on horseback to check for property damage and came upon the wreckage of a strange aircraft which fanned out for nearly half a mile.
The corpses were found a couple of miles from the site of the crash.
Wait, just a moment. Corpses?
Dead alien bodies, called extraterrestrial biological entities, EBEs if you wish. We got reports that they appeared to be small humanoid bodies with large hairless heads, wearing one-piece seamless gray skin-like clothing. We assume they must have ejected from their craft with some kind of ejection capsule.
The Air Force came and recovered the bodies and took them away for autopsies.
Gentlemen, autopsies, EBEs, this is rather unsettling information. Level with us. What do we know to be fact?
We know these are the facts. A very strange spacecraft exploded. Pieces of the craft were recovered. Several bodies were found and removed along with the wreckage. We can prove the story was covered up very quickly at the highest level and given a classification above top secret. Flying saucers are real, period.
The first person sent by the Air Force to investigate the crash site and to take care of the wreckage was a Major Jesse Marcel. Let's meet his son, Dr. Jesse Marcel, who was 12 years old at the time and, needless to say, has never forgotten that incident. Welcome, Dr. Marcel. Nice to see you.
Jesse. Bill.
Jesse. Doctor, tell us, if you will, about the night your dad came home from that crash site.
My father came home with his car loaded with debris after investigating the crash site. He brought the material into the house where he, my mother, and I sorted through the stuff. Among the litter